How do I build a template file for my students to use for their labs? So a template file is a pre-configured file that students open up when they go to complete a lab, and it can be as simple as one page with a graph with the properties already set so the student doesn't have to think about setting up those properties themselves, or it can have some additional information to help guide the students in their lab. So here's an example for the topic of enzymes. So in PowerPoint, you can save slides as JPEGs or PNGs and bring those into a template file, and that allows you to give the student some directions or even provide an image to them, such as the materials they're going to gather and a simple procedure of what to add to the bottle in this case. And then it can have the graph that students are going to collect data into, and it can also have a few questions for them to answer along the way. So I'm going to show you how I built some of these pages in my template file. So I'm going to choose from the upper left the new page icon, and if you're bringing over content from PowerPoint as a JPEG, you want to select a background image, and then you would navigate to the spot on your computer where you've saved those files, and then you can select that image and choose open, and then you can select the full page template from the right, and by just choosing the X, that's going to tell the program that you don't want any other item on that page, you just want that background image. So now I've provided a template page with some information to the students, such as the topic of the lab. So now I'll show you a page in which we're going to have data and some questions. So again, I'm going to use the new page icon, and in this case I'm going to select a large space with two smaller spaces in my template, and I want there to be a graph and a couple questions to ask students. So I'll choose assessments there. For selecting a measurement, you have to make sure that you do have a sensor connected to your computer. So I've got a USB link with an oxygen gas sensor connected to it. So when I select a measurement, I'll be able to see that measurement come up, or that sensor come up as an option. So one reason to possibly build a template file for students would be so that they don't have to make certain decisions, such as, well, should I do oxygen concentration as percent or parts per million? You can select for the student what the graph will be. And that way, when students are comparing their data, they're all talking about the same thing, in this case, percent of oxygen rather than parts per million of oxygen. And you'll see the range of data on the y-axis is from 0 all the way to 98. The standard amount of oxygen in room air is 21%, so I can adjust the scale of that y-axis, and when I save this file, it will save the change that I just made in the scaling of the axis. If I know I'm going to have students collect data for a number of minutes instead of seconds, I can change the units on the x-axis, and I can also set an automatic stop condition in the sampling options, so that it will automatically stop after, say, 3 or 5 minutes, whatever the experiment needs. And then you can use the assessment feature to write either multiple choice, drop-down menu, or text box questions for your students, and you have the choice of whether or not you want them to see the correct answer when they answer the multiple choice or drop-down item, or you can also select to not show the correct answer. So you would just continue building additional pages until you have your lab completed.